First, I ranked all the bosses in the first Pikmin game. Then, I ranked all the bosses in the second game. And now, I will be ranking each and every boss in Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3, at least compared to the other Pikmin games, is a more story-driven and linear type of gameplay. Due to that, the bosses are divided into two groups. The mid-bosses, which aren't part of the plot and are easier, and the stage bosses, which are part of the plot and are bigger, tougher, and more complex. You have to defeat these guys in order to progress. I'm going to be ranking both groups in one ranking, so that leaves us with 9 bosses to rank. Before we get into the ranking, I will not include the Arctic or the Golden Longlegs because both of them are basically just reskins of the Shaggy/Baldy Longlegs. I will also not include the Emperor Bulblax because it is scrapped and not actually in the game, so it's not fair to rank it. Now that we got them out of the way, let's get into the rankings, starting off with dead last. If you played Pikmin 3, then you obviously know that the bug-eyed Crawmad is one big joke. I don't really have much to say about this guy, so it's gonna be pretty quick on why it's number 9. This fight ends way too quickly. I mean, I get it's supposed to be like a mid-boss, so it's supposed to be easy, but really? This kind of feels like a regular enemy instead. I guess its fight in the cave is better because it has like 2 extra Crawmads with it, which you have like multiple things to deal with. The bug-eyed Crawmad is still very easy nonetheless, even as a mid-boss. That's why it's at number 9. Just give it a bit more health and make it attack faster, then I'll place it higher. Maybe. Next up is the only recurring boss of Pikmin 3, the Burrowing Snagret. The Burrowing Snagret is barely any better than the Bug-Eyed Crawmad. A lot of stuff that I said about the Crawmad applies to this boss as well. It's so easy to the point where it feels like a regular enemy instead of a mini-boss, and it ends way too quickly. The main reason why it's higher than the Bug-Eyed Crawmad is that it has a more diverse moveset. You got the good old burrow underground and burrow above ground, the peck attack, the good old shake, we love the shake, and the attack where it slams its head onto the ground and gets its beak stuck. The last attack mentioned is one of the reasons why it's at number 8, because you could just take advantage of it by charging your Pikmin at it. Really? To make it worse, it takes forever to get its beak unstuck. Anyways, other than the variety of attacks, I feel the same way about the Burrowing Snagret as I do for the Bug-Eyed Crawmad. It's crazy how the Burrowing Snagret went from being a challenge in the first game to being a straight up joke in this one. I guess empires don't last forever. At number 7 is the final mini-boss of this ranking, the Shaggy Longlegs or the Baldy Longlegs. I do say it's pretty decent. It actually feels like a mid-boss rather than a giant enemy. Easier than a stage boss, like for example the Gildemander, but more challenging than a regular enemy, like for example a Bulborb. The previous 2 entries on this list did not understand the latter half of what I just said. This thing did. There's basically 2 parts to this boss. It starts off as the Shaggy Longlegs. Unlike its brethren, you cannot attack the head directly. You have to command or throw your Pikmin at any of its 4 legs. The Pikmin will climb on said legs and attack the hair on its joints. The progress is pretty satisfying whenever it doesn't shake off your Pikmin. When all the hair on its 8 joints are gone, it loses hair on its head and becomes the Baldy Longlegs. The Baldy Longlegs is basically the beady Longlegs from Pikmin 1, but inferior. The reason why I say so is that, similar to Shaggy, you can climb on its legs. Once the Pikmin reach the head, it may shake them off, but don't worry, just ignore the legs and go for the head in order to get it to DIE! I apologize for the dumb joke. Anyways, overall, I think it's a pretty decent mini-boss. But due to being a mini-boss and not an actual boss, there isn't really anything too crazy about it. In conclusion, I think the shaggy or baldy Longlegs is pretty decent and deserves to sit comfortably at number 7. Now let's get into the actual bosses. And at the bottom of the big guys lurks beneath your feet. It's the sand-belching mirror slug. It's not a bad boss or anything, but compared to the other bosses, it's kind of inferior. A positive I can point out is that I kind of like its little gimmick with the sand underground travel thing, and how both of its attacks work with that gimmick. The sinkhole attack where it tries to pull your Pikmin in and eat them is pretty cool. It's also a bit intimidating if you don't know what the heck is going on. Just charge your Pikmin at it or throw a bomb rock into its mouth. I recommend the second option. It's safer and you won't lose any Pikmin doing so. The attack where it spits dirt from its mouth is a pretty generic projectile attack. There's actually kind of one complaint I have about the attack. The projectiles don't even kill your Pikmin. Like, why? Shouldn't they be crushed? Another reason why it's not higher is, I don't know if it's just me, but other than the sand gimmick, which is pretty cool, it's just kind of not interesting to fight. Like, the sand gimmick is basically the only interesting thing about it. Pretty much everything else about this fight is just... let me just think of something. It lets you utilize bomb rocks, I guess? Okay, this battle has nothing else. Overall, this boss is kind of the weakest stage boss, but it's not bad. Despite the fact that literally the only interesting thing about it is the sand gimmick, it's still a pretty okay fight. I'm just gonna say it's the least good main boss. Next up at number 5 is... strange. Usually, gameplay footage of the boss would show up right now. Oh, wait. I see where this is going. Yup, I called it. At number 5 is the final boss of Pikmin 3, and, spoiler alert, the one responsible for Olimar's kidnapping, the Plasm Wraith. Out of all the final bosses in the Pikmin series, the Plasm Wraith is easily the weakest in my opinion. I was honestly planning on placing this thing below the sand-belching mirror slug until I thought about the mysterious life form phase. The mysterious life form is pretty cool. You having to rescue Captain Olimar while some giant elemental blob chases you is pretty neat. And when Olimar is taken by said blob, you have to fend it off and retrieve him. There's also obstacles and enemies and puzzles that slow you down, like the bulb orbs at the beginning, and this wall you're seeing right now. Heck, the second half of the Formidable Oak is basically a dark room you have to light up, which we already saw in the Phosbat caves in the distant tundra and the Water Dumple cave in Twilight River. So it's not the first time you see it. In my opinion, the Vehemoth Phosbat did this better, but we'll get to that later. After you deal with that, it's time for the final boss. And in my opinion, I have some mixed feelings about it. It's kind of a half and half situation. On one half, it has a very cool gimmick on how it attacks you and how you attack it. One of its attacks is it spews out blobs that form into elemental obstacles. The blobs can form into one of the 4 things: an electric orb that yellow Pikmin have to take down, a pile of magma that red Pikmin have to take down, a bubble-like orb that blue Pikmin have to take down, and a crystal cube that rock Pikmin have to take down. And for how to attack it, you have to attack all those like goopy little plasm puddles on the floor. Whether it's from directly attacking it, destroying its elemental plasms, or attacking all the plasm that it flings at you. And that's all the stuff that I like about it. Now it's time for the stuff that I don't. The most infamous is that you can cheese it with rock Pikmin. Due to the fact that the Plasm Wraith can't eat them, you can basically just... Another thing is, it's not really all that interesting. I'm sorry, it just isn't. That's basically all I have to say about it. Even though the main battle isn't really all that interesting and can be cheesed by rock Pikmin, the mysterious life form that comes before it is actually pretty good. If you combine all the aspects that I said together, then you will get my pick for the number 5 spot. Now it's time for the bosses that I say I really enjoyed a lot. Above the final boss, shockingly, is the first boss of the game, the Armored Maudad. The Armored Maudad is a great introduction to the bosses of Pikmin 3. By standards of being the first boss, it's fantastic, and I'm actually quite surprised. The battle requires Rock Pikmin and Red Pikmin, the first 2 Pikmin you get in the game. The Rock Pikmin are needed to destroy the exoskeleton, which is made out of crystal, and the Red Pikmin are needed to deal great damage to the soft skin underneath. This battle gives both of the Pikmin you have the time to shine, which is a good thing. Another cool thing about it is that it can climb on walls, which is actually pretty cool, and it hasn't been done before in any other Pikmin game before it. Heck, the concept didn't return in any game that released after Pikmin 3, so it's basically the only creature to do this. I guess the only flaw it has is it's very easy, but I have 2 counterpoints to that. One, it's always moving, so you can't take it down in a millisecond. And number 2, it's the first boss, so I can't blame it. So in conclusion, despite being the first boss, it's a really great one. And it's also a great introduction to the bosses in the game as well. It's large, tougher than the average enemy, requires some thinking, and has a cool little gimmick that makes it special. That's basically what a Pikmin 3 boss is for you. We have just entered the top 3, and at number 3 is the main boss of Twilight River, the Scornet Maestro and its Scornet army. The Scornet Maestro has a pretty cool gimmick that rivals yours. That gimmick is commanding an army of 100 Scornets, similar to how you command an army of 100 Pikmin. It heavily relies on its Scornets because it cannot attack by itself. The Scornet Maestro will order its minions to attack you in 3 different formations: cone, lines, and circle. The cone formation will have the Scornets form into a cone and directly attack whichever leader you're playing as. The line formation will have the Scornets scan 2 lines and try to attack you. The circle formation is the coolest as it closes up on you, forcing you to work your way out, which is neat. Once the Scornets are done attacking, the Maestro will be vulnerable. That is when you send out your winged Pikmin. The winged Pikmin will attack it, making it drop onto the floor. That is when you use charge with your other Pikmin. Do it twice if you're playing normal mode, or do it 4 times if you're playing hard or ultra spicy. In my opinion, it's a pretty nice parallel to how you and your Pikmin work. As a captain, you can't really do much, except like punch and, in this game, throw other captains. I'm excluding you, Ochi. Therefore, you heavily rely on your Pikmin. You see the similarities? I also like the fact that it changes attacks whenever you damage it to a certain amount of health. That kind of makes sure you don't get bored of it, and it always has a new trick up its sleeve. The only gripe I have about the Scornet Maestro is similar to the Armored Maudads. It's easy. But the difficulty doesn't really affect this boss that much like it does for the Burrowing Snagret or Bug-Eyed Comet, so it's still a fun boss. Overall, the Scornet Maestro has a cool battle that has a gimmick that parallels to yours, which is why it is at number 3. Also, as a bonus, is it just me or is collecting the corpses of its army so satisfying? From the smallest to the biggest, at number 2 is the behemoth known as the Quaggled Myreclops. The top 2 in this ranking are astonishing, amazing, excellent. Pretty much no flaws to point out. And the first of the 2 is the Gildemander. This thing is so cool. You are literally fighting a sentient island. How cool is that? It's also the most complex boss in the game. There's multiple steps on how to defeat this thing. There is a crystal covering its strawberry-like bulb, which is basically its weak point. Be careful though, you're not going to be able to break the entire crystal because once you break some of it, it's going to wake up and force you off of it. This is when the battle starts. Due to its giant size, the crystal is unreachable. The only way to reach it is to make it collapse onto the floor by attacking one of its 3 feet. Once it's been brought down, throw your rock Pikmin at the crystal in order to break it. Once the crystal is fully broken, its weakness will be shown. You can't immediately attack it after, since the Gildemander will get up and you have to repeat the progress of attacking its feet again. But it's not easy anymore. No. The Gildemander has brand new ways to crush your Pikmin. It is able to quickly run through the arena, slam its body into the mud, and whatever the heck you're seeing right now. It also has this giant tongue attack whenever you're supposed to attack its weak point. This kinda makes it sound like quite the challenge. With all those moves, and a not so simple way of attacking it, this will definitely keep you on your toes. And the challenge, in my opinion, makes it really fun. It also makes it a boss like no other. I truly think the Gildemander is an amazing boss and deserves number 2. But there is one boss that I prefer more. One that combines combat and puzzles together perfectly. A certain one found in the dark. And that creature, taking the title of Best Pikmin 3 boss in my opinion, is the Vehemoth Phosbat. That's right, this guy right here is my favorite boss in Pikmin 3, and I will tell you why. Right from the get-go, you know this thing is gonna be a threat. Watching it eat Charlie lets you know that you're gonna have to face this thing one day. That right there is a good way to warn you. But that's not the reason why I love it so much. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The real reason is that it's a very creative fight. The way it mixes combat and puzzles together is like no other boss before. It takes one of the coolest gimmicks in Pikmin 3, the light bulbs, from the caves of the distant tundra, and turns it into one sick boss fight. There's 5 light bulbs around the arena, and every time you activate one, the Vehemoth Phosbat gets stunned. That's honestly pretty cool in my opinion. Once you've lit up 2 light bulbs, the Vehemoth Phosbat will awaken the Phosbat pods, giving you an extra challenge to deal with. The Phosbat pods aren't really annoying to deal with, but it's probably a good idea to take them down, because I think they spawn in an infinite amount of baby Phosbats. There's a chance that I'm wrong though. The Vehemoth Phosbat itself doesn't just fly around the arena. It has a pretty cool inhale attack. It puts your Pikmin in a spiraling vortex they're unable to get out. Now that's what I call peak consumption. Once you've lit up all 4 small light bulbs, it's time to go for the big one. So build the bridge and light the bad boy up. Once you've gone through this point, it's time to attack the Vehemoth Phosbat. So whenever you get to this point, throw Pikmin at it until it dies. I honestly think this battle is pretty fun. Lighting up all the light bulbs until you're able to take it down is just so great. And lighting up the light bulbs make you feel like you're making progress. And in my opinion, it's a good feeling. And whenever you get to the big light, it feels very climactic. So overall, in my opinion, the Vehemoth Phosbat is an amazing boss for Pikmin 3. It takes a very unique spin on the bosses in a very good way, taking the light bulb gimmick and turning it into one amazing boss. And every time I replay Pikmin 3, I'm always excited to battle this guy. This is why it's at number 1. And with that said, this concludes my ranking of each and every boss in Pikmin 3. Remember, it's fine if you agree or disagree about my opinion as long as you don't act like a Twitter user about it. I don't have much else to say, so all I'm gonna say is, see ya.